Welcome to Consider Yourself Hugged. I'm Tami.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Gracie.
And a hug is a gesture intended to convey a sense of care and support, safety, intimacy, and affection. And even though we can't wrap our arms around you, we want you to consider yourself hugged. And so here we are. We're back again. Excited to be here with you all. I think we're still in Mental Health Awareness Month. See, we don't even know. This part, Michelle, is the same as it used to be when we co-hosted together. We're like, I don't know, what month is this? What is the topic? We don't know when this is going to post.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? I don't know. Gracie fits right into that. So
I'm going to say, yeah.
We think that this will still be Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm pretty certain that it will be. So welcome back to Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're just excited to be able to have some topics to help you out. So y'all are doing well? You too.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Anytime. I'm always here for you. So
Fantastic.
Michelle
that's perfect. It fits right along with what we're going to talk about.
today. I don't know, because it's kind of a surprise. So yeah, Michelle has taken the lead on our first couple of episodes together. And so just like last time, we don't know if she's going to surprise us. We kind of know the topic, but she's such a risk-taking crazy. So tell us, Michelle, what do you
got
have?
pulled over today, y'all. I got pulled over. So yeah,
What?
apparently I didn't yield. Yeah, I'm it's a new place, right? I'm helping at another location, different city. And I am the person who, like, stop sign, the yield sign, sits there ad nauseum, and people are honking and they're like, why won't you go? Like, I am always that
That's
person.
you.
But today, yes, this morning, that is me. This morning, I'm going, and like, I think, I think I can beat that car. I think I can beat the car. And so I, fished the gas and did make it. However, it was a police officer in an unmarked car.
That's the car that you beat?
No.
Yes, that's a car I beat. He then pulled me over on the side of the interstate. Yeah. And again, like, and it wasn't, I mean, I didn't know it wasn't close, but at the same time, he pulled me over and just said, I had to on my brake, you didn't yield. And I said, I'm sorry. And he didn't give me a ticket. I was very thankful. But that's kind of my life. Like, if I'm going to take the chance, I'm going to try to beat it. It is a police officer in an unmarked car.
Who are you? I don't
That is
even know
me.
this. I don't even know this side of you. Did you cry?
No, I just got my license. I was pretty sure that I was going to get a ticket, but I did not.
On the
So I was just
interstate.
kind of trying to get onto the interstate. Okay. So back to the topic. So
sorry,
what we're talking about today.
Listening.
You're just so shocked that I.
No, I was going to keep going because you're so calm
talking
about it. But anyway.
Because I didn't get a ticket. If I'd gotten a ticket, I don't think I would have been.
Yeah, but I would have been calm anyway. I would have cried just because of the sheer embarrassment. I just can't stand it, to be,
Well, I mean, I'm sure it was embarrassing because, like, everyone that's down here helping is staying at the same.
Oh, darn, Michelle,
and we have to be at work at the same time. So I'm guessing many people.
Gracie, are you hearing?
Sorry, am I back?
She's back. Yeah.
Okay,
I was hearing it lag. Yeah.
Okay, but you were saying everybody. What about the hotel? That was completely gibberish.
Everybody that's down here helping, we are all staying at the same hotel, and we all have to be at work at the same time. So I'm sure many people went by and saw it, but I'm like, it is what it is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. It is what it is. All right. Now you may go back to your topic.
But like in years and years past, had that have happened, I would have been super upset. I would have focused on it all day. One of the things that I have definitely struggled with in my life is kind of that perfectionism mentality that you can do 99 things right, one thing wrong. And it's the one thing wrong that I'm going to hyper focus on. And so what we're talking about today is kind of some different things related to caretaking, perfectionism, and how it impacts mental health.
Okay.
And so, where is the boundary? Where is the line when it comes to being a caregiver with healthy boundaries, and codependency. And so I'm just going to kind of start out and tell a little bit of my story. I'm going to talk a little bit for a few minutes about my mom. So my mom grew up, she had 6 sisters, so big family. And when she was in middle school, her dad, who owned this building that there was a bar in, he killed a man. He followed him home after a bar fight. And I'm like seeing your face, the looks on your face this year. That's not where you expected that story to go.
Well, I knew,
Yes.
and I feel like I
Mhm.
need to say that I knew, so that if someone is watching this on YouTube and they see Gracie's reaction and my reaction, like I'm trying to react, but I knew.
You knew already. Right. And so
Yeah.
my mom was in middle school. And so basically, the guy followed him home. My grandfather, or so that, the story goes, he told him, he needed to not get out of the car, stay in the car. And the guy went around to get his gun. And my grandfather shot and killed him. And he shot and killed him in front of my mom and some of her sisters. And he was incarcerated for what I understand to be about 18 months. And so they told him at the time, if you just say you were afraid of the man, he was at your house, he followed you home, he was going to get a gun, then, it'll be self-defense. And my grandfather would not do it. He would not say that he was afraid of the man because, of course, they didn't have a lot, but what he did have was his pride, and he wouldn't say it. And so my mom, being in middle school in this super small town, she used to tell me and my siblings, I would fight every day. Somebody would look at me the wrong way and I would fight. And kind of as I got older, what I learned was people would pick on her. People would say things about her dad. And so she fought daily to defend him, really. And so she really it was ingrained in her that it was really important that you not share the struggles or anything that was going on within your family. She really wanted to protect me and my siblings from that kind of pain that she went through. So it was real important to keep what happens in the family within the family, even if you're struggling, which we know now, it creates some family secrets and it creates some struggles. And so I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. My brother was 4 years younger than me, my sister 8. So I was the oldest by a good bit. And that's just the formula for codependency. Codependency for me kind of being defined as the caretaker of other people's emotions. For me to be okay, you have to be okay. Yeah. And so like within our family, obviously a lot of pain. My dad kind of had his own struggles and pain growing up, and the mentality in this small town in general, not just my mom, you just didn't share. Mental health wasn't a thing. Therapy wasn't a thing. And so kind of growing up, my parents divorced and then got remarried and then divorced again. My mom had cancer 2 times. There were multiple things that happened. And when that happened, I kind of was the family caregiver because I was the oldest. And in codependency, even though I didn't even know the term, there were a lot of things that I enabled. Being young, not really understanding, lots of things that I enabled. And it took me a lot of years to unwind all of that, because you can end up carrying a lot around with you. It's just really not positive for your mental health. Trying to learn that you're okay and that other people's decisions are their decisions and that you have to be okay even when they're not okay is tough.
That's big, Michelle.
Yeah. That's probably the best definition of codependency and everything else that I've ever heard.
And so I've shared about Celebrate Recovery before, and it is something that after my brother died, because one of the things our family kind of covered was my brother at a very young age, and then he died.
Michelle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to start again. You said one of the things that, and then about your brother, all of that. Yeah, you're back. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm sorry. Where did it leave off? I'm so sorry. It must be the internet here at the hotel.
Yeah. You said one of the things you were talking about your
So,
brother.
yes, one of the things that my family covered up was my brother started using alcohol at 13. And like
Oh, yeah.
statistically, we now know that when someone starts very early with substance use, then the addiction happens much quicker and the outcome is poor. And so, like when he was 25, almost 26, when he was 25, he died in an alcohol related accident. And so there were many times along the way where, like, once he had a suicide attempt, and I was kind of arguing with my parents about trying to get him help. And, my mom was like, and again, because she really believed this, she believed that if he went to any kind of hospital or treatment, that it would ruin him, that if that got out, that he would be ruined. And so, and I know 100% she did that out of love. She thought that was protecting him.
Right.
But when he passed away, I had a lot of emotion around, I should have tried harder, like that kind of
Right.
thing. And so, like with that, like that was one of the things, like the Celebrate Recovery Ministry, which is also going to be in our resource guide.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll put that in there. Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that is where I learned about codependency long before I worked in mental health. I learned about codependency there. There's no way, had I not done recovery for codependency, that I could do the job I do now. There's just absolutely no way.
Right.
And so, so today we're kind of talking about this topic because I feel like as Christians, as women, as men, as kind people, we are sometimes taught that we're responsible for taking care of and making other people happy at the risk of our own mental health. So I'm just going to kind of pause here and get your thoughts on that, if that's something that you've ever struggled with or had any experience with.
Well, I know, I was gonna say, yeah, who hasn't, had experience with that? I think one of the biggest things for me was learning that what can be really healthy and good in certain relationships or interactions, in unhealthy situations or interactions or relationships, it's enabling, it's codependent. So it's hard to look at a behavior. Well, of course you support your family, of course, and that's been the big struggle with me as the oldest child, as the perfectionist, as the hero, as all these things. Well, of course it makes sense to do that. Yeah. But it doesn't. And I think that's the biggest thing I still struggle with that, is where's that line, right? When it is something that is healthy, maybe now it's not. And that's the big thing that I think a lot of people struggle with. How do we tell?
Mm-hmm. Gosh, Michelle, when you shared that and talked about, learning that, because this is a tough one for me too. And I'm not sure this is something that I have done a lot with, or come through in the framework of codependency, because my sister and I both basically became my mom's parent when we were small. We were 10 and 11, and her mental health was, at the time it was called nervous breakdowns. Remember that term? Mm-hmm. So she had numerous mental health or nervous breakdowns, I called it at the time. And when my dad left us, she completely just stopped functioning. And it was very expected, not in a, I know this now on the other side of caring for my mom, that it wasn't a vindictive thing, that it was a complete just lack of ability to do it any other way. And so the message was that we are here together, and you care for each other, make sure that you don't say anything bad to your sister, make sure that everybody's happy, don't speak bad things, everybody needs to be happy. And so you grow up with that. And I'm wondering with you, you were still full on into adulthood when you began to really deal with that, were you not? I mean, it's not like it's not like your mom took you to counseling.
No, no, absolutely. I was an adult before I ever even started realizing it. And, I shared a little bit about my mom's story, but she had a lot of really difficult things happen to her. And I felt bad and I wanted to rescue her and I wanted her to be happy. And, it didn't change when I entered recovery. I'll say this: when I started going to Celebrate Recovery, my brother had just passed away. And as I mentioned, I struggled with that. We were all
Right.
there when that happened. And so I walked out of that. I walked out of the hospital that day and was thinking to myself, if I hadn't like been, so tied up in my own life, I could have fixed his. Now, is that not the most codependent thing you have ever heard? Obviously, if I can't fix my own life, I most certainly. But at the same time, I got upset with my mom through some different things that happened. And I stopped being codependent to her. I was codependent to her as an adult as well for quite some time. And so I stopped doing that. And she kind of turned to other things and got so much healthier. And so I think that's another moral of this story is when you're codependent to some degree, you're enabling unhealthy behavior to continue. And when I removed myself, she became healthier. And so that's
Did
not
you
something
struggle with that? Did you take it personally? Like I tried to help and it didn't help, but as soon as I stopped, she gets better. Did you struggle with that?
No, but I
Did
think
you celebrate? Sorry,
it was the reason, and let me say the reason I didn't was because I was in, the Celebrate Recovery program,
Right,
which is,
right.
you do 12 steps in recovery. And so I kind of saw it through more that perspective of, this is unhealthy. And so I was looking at it through a lens of codependency at the time. So, and I don't blame myself. Thank goodness I don't blame myself for enabling in that way when I was young, because I was just too young to know, and it was set up that way.
Right.
So I don't blame myself, but at the same time, I'm very happy that there was a scenario that kind of intervened and that was able to get recovery. And my mom and I, even though it was a little struggle there for a while, like in between, we were very close when she passed away. We had a great relationship, a very healthy relationship. And so I'm very thankful for that. Yeah. So I wasn't, I mean, that's a very good question. But no, I think because I had CR and the people around me at that time, it wasn't somewhere I went.
And I think that's a really important point is we can't do this on our own.
Yes.
We need to have that support.
I know Michelle isn't gonna like talk about herself in the way that I would, but it's so going back to codependency being, what did you call it? What is that great thing that you said early on?
The caretaker of other people's emotions.
The caretaker of other people's emotions. And I'm not okay unless you're okay. And I have watched Michelle, and I tell her this fairly often, that she's just like a hero to me. And I just love watching her, because when we have conversations about difficult things that have happened during our days or whatever it is, and I watch her as she shares the story, and I know that this is true. And she talks about, she's just very calm. And I know that you're not always very calm, but that you take a moment to figure out, you don't just have to jump and make sure that that other person is absolutely okay right in the moment to the detriment of you, that you can take a moment. And even though you may be upset, and even though it may take a while to get through it, you can take a moment and know that you don't have to be the caretaker of that person's emotions. And I just love watching that in you. So this is a wonderful topic that I feel like I'm sitting here in therapy,
I know, exactly.
Because I still am not there yet, especially with my children, my husband to some degree, but with my children, it's very, very hard. And I think they know that I've talked about this. They did share with me once that growing up, I really didn't let them have emotions. And that was sort of from that growing up where we're just going to be happy and no one's going to be upset and we're not going to speak the truth and we're not. And so, we've had to really, I did not respond well. Let me just say when that, but it's a really complex topic. It really is. And I love the Celebrate Recovery. I may have to click on that link.
Yeah, it's a great program. I think that it taught me before therapy that you mentioned pausing, that we all see things through a frame of reference, and sometimes you have to, particularly with as entrenched as that was, to think through, how am I reacting to this? Like, what lens am I using to look or react to this? And is it the one that I need to be looking at? And I carried a lot of that. And we talked about on the phone not too long ago. I carried a lot of that, keep everything to yourself mentality well into adulthood. And Tami went through something very personal with me when we were teaching. And I had shared with her, she asked a question that really was such an on-point question, but was so far outside of where I was thinking and the unhealthiness of the situation that it kind of brought me back to reality. And so that's kind of like what you were saying, Gracie. It's so important to have other people to speak into your lives. I think even if it's people who are struggling with the same things that you are, it's helpful to have people that understand, but can also look at your situation objectively, right? Because you can see something in your friend that you can't necessarily see in your own life, and allow them to speak into that and be there to support one another.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things, and if you're listening right now and this is something you struggle with, I'm guessing this might be you too. One of the hardest things about this, and I see that you do this well also, is just feeling that women can be this way too, because if you're being a caretaker, that if you aren't behaving as the caretaker of someone's emotions, or that you don't care, like that you're cold or you're uncaring or then it's not that at all, and I think that's one of the hardest things, is to understand that you can still love these people and be concerned about them, but you just can't hold on and take their emotions as your own and fix them and carry them and change them. And you do that really well too.
No, thank you. I think sorry, go ahead.
Then I think also when we talk about, codependency and things like that, to be able to get to the point where we can hold ourselves accountable for our stuff, even if it makes us uncomfortable, without having to be tied to theirs. And that was the big thing for me, is being able to say, yes, I did this and it impacted somebody else in a negative way, and I'm accountable for that, and make amends as best I can and all that, and then let it go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know, right? Because I would just keep.
How do we do that?
Keep trying to fix it. Keep trying to fix it until they're okay again. Well, that might be their stuff.
That ties into kind of what I was getting ready to say. I mean, there is that period of time when you start to recover from that the people you're enabling are going to be upset with you. I mean, there just is. And that's not a bad thing, but it doesn't feel good. It's kind of what you're trying to avoid. It's why another kind of core thing about codependency is sometimes, if you really look at it, it's really more so you don't feel pain, or just as much, let me say that, just as much so you don't feel the pain of them suffering as them feeling the pain. And so, I mean, looking at it that way, there's going to be a period of time where they're upset, and that's okay. And that's again where your support system comes in. Like if you're trying harder than someone else is at something, if it is really negatively impacting you, but they have no problem, you know what I mean? Like so many times, like if you're carrying all of the weight of something and carrying that weight for somebody else's struggle, then there's something unhealthy about
Right.
that.
Right.
That's an interesting way to put it. And you're right, though. It is as much about you. Like, I don't want to feel bad. Who wants to feel bad? You know? So if my brain can prevent that, even though I don't know my brain might be doing it until I stop, by making somebody else feel good, then everything is like, and you feel better for the moment, and then it continues.
It's so hard with your kids. It's so hard with your kids because especially when at all ages, when they're young, like the whole rescue thing. I mean, it's like you don't want them to hurt. So let's rush in and try to fix it. And then they're happy and you're happy. Like
and that's our job with our kids, right? That's what we're supposed to do. That's the
even when they're in their 30s.
Exactly. Right.
I know I'm 90 and you're 75, but I'm going to jump in and are you happy? What can I do to make you happy? So what do we do, Michelle? How do we help these people?
Well, I think I'm going to start out and just say that kind of determining healthy versus unhealthy. And if this is something you struggle with, I feel like a support team's good. A support team that you can call up and be like, hey, I'm not sure about this situation. Let me share and see what you speak into it. Somebody that understands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about the person behind you in the grocery store line. No. That's not what
no.
we're talking about. We are
No.
talking about like people who understand what this struggle is, that you trust, that you're willing to let speak into the situation and remind you that the most loving thing to do is not fix or, caretake.
Well, and it really is. I mean, I have another situation in my life that is not the same thing at all. However, I have stopped intervening in that situation. Not an emotional thing, but an actual like physical thing. I guess emotional too, and it's been months and that person is doing fine. I mean, as far as I know, and it's almost like you said, like intervening all the time, trying to make that person happy all the time is preventing both of you from growing. And if you can remember that, it's not just harming yourself, it's harming the other person too. Well, then you don't want to harm the other person. So I love that as a place to start.
Well, and getting back to the thing with kids, one of the things I've really with my kiddo is, okay, so I'm doing all these things because I'm supposed to support her and protect her and make her happy. And well, what happens when she goes out and into the real world? Mm-hmm. And I'm not there immediately behind her. I'm setting her up for failure.
Right.
So
it's hard to watch your kiddos be sad or bored or unhappy or mad at you or any of those things. And those are all normal, natural things. So, yeah. What else do we do?
Ooh, I like to share something I came up with by accident.
Ooh, share.
Yeah. So,
those are the best.
Yeah, I know those are. So you talk about, determining healthy. So one day I'm doing a training. It just comes out. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Is it healthy and helpful? Right? Okay. Because sometimes I don't know if it's healthy or not because it's normal to me. Is it helpful? And then I took it even a step further is it healthy or helpful? And if my answer isn't immediately yes, then it probably isn't. Because sometimes they'll be, well, it's not, but is it really unhealthy or really, I'm not really sure. Then it's not. So is it healthy and helpful? Unless the answer is immediately yes, then it probably isn't.
Make sure you write all that down so we can put those questions in the
Ooh, that's good. Yes.
show notes for people.
But that's a good thing to trigger getting support from somebody who's an objective third party. Well, I don't know. Give me some information.
That
And
is so
that's been-
important, isn't it? To have those relationships where someone is not just going to agree with everything you say.
Yes,
They're gonna
exactly. Right.
question you, and they're going to love you, but they're going to question you and have a conversation about it.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
what you just said is key. You have to know that that person is your unconditional person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. I joke around sometimes about dress pants and dress friends and pants friends. Have I told you this before?
No.
You know how, like, if you're in a particular time period where maybe you're eating too many donuts or whatever it is, and if if you're wearing a dress is like, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Have another donut, you're great. But your pants friends are like, you should probably not have that other donut. So,
oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yes.
I'm not a big fan of like the really mean pants friends, but the ones who
the jeans, the skinny jeans.
Yeah, I don't want skinny jeans friends. Yeah, maybe just a little bit of a stretchy pant friend. It's like, I don't know.
Right.
But it's important to have those people.
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, gosh, Michelle, that was 2 great topics in a row. What else do we want to tell these people we haven't already shared?
Be kind to yourself. We said that the last thing. This is, it's a process. It's a process. So it's if you hear yourself in our stories today, if you hear this is something that is affecting my mental health, then I'm completely not okay if my family members are not okay. Then look at the resources we have, reach out,
yes,
talk to someone, and just know it's a process. That's what I'd say. And take care of yourself. I was kind of realizing it wasn't too long ago. I was very busy, and I had gotten tired, and I realized that I had done something. I don't know, perfectionism, whether codependent. When I, back at the earlier part of the year, had COVID. So I was diagnosed with COVID, and I have a job where I can work from home by telehealth. And I thought, well, I'm just not even going to take a day off. I'm just going to, just work from home. And the first day, I was exhausted, and I slept through lunch, set an alarm, slept through lunch, and then worked the rest of the day. And I felt better by the next day. But when I think about that, like, why? I had like 5 weeks of vacation.
Oh, Michelle.
Right. And so, like, why be like, oh no, I don't want them to have to, I don't want to inconvenience them. I don't want them to have to reschedule everyone. I don't want
it's just
X,
my
Y,
health. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
Do you want to be the hero of this everybody's story and how?
Well,
sorry, I'm being a pants friend right there, but go ahead.
Well, no, you make a good point. It wasn't even that. It was more like, well, I would be willing to inconvenience myself instead of inconveniencing them, even though I should have just taken the day to sleep. And so, like, is what you're doing, is this I should take the day and sleep for myself day? Or is this I should push it? I mean, it's ask yourself those questions.
You know what I love about, so you're listening, you listener, whoever you are right now, if you are beating yourself up about anything in your life, I want you to realize that right here on this podcast, you have a psychiatric nurse practitioner, you have a licensed master's degree counselor who does regular trainings on mental health, and you have a PhD in human development, and we're still sharing our stories with you of our struggles. So
yes,
it's a journey. All 3 of us, we study this, we read about this, we're passionate about it, and we support each other. And so, yes, and we should have said at the beginning, we're going to get better at this, that all the things we're talking about are, again, not designed just for you as counseling or therapy or advice just for you. We hope that things that you heard were helpful, but always go visit those show notes for all those resources. And those are places you can reach out. And you know what? If your company has an EAP program, we need to be saying that too. Oh my gosh, contact those people, because it is not just in my years of the days when my mental health was at its worst before I went in the hospital. I had an EAP in 1994, and it was 6 visits to a counselor. That's what an EAP program was. And I was grateful for that, but it is so much more than that now. Yep. So, you know, or someone in your family might have an EAP program that you qualify to be a part of. So check that out.
Fabulous.
Right. Okay. Well, then, having said that, go visit the show notes, please. And you know what? Continue to like and share and subscribe and download. That helps grow us so much. Go to the show notes, leave comments, ask questions. If you're a woman and you're not in our Facebook group, the link will be there. All of our information will be there from the show. And I think that's it for now, right?
Think so.
All right. So until next, because we want you to feel hugged. We want you to feel loved. So until we're together next time,
consider yourself
hugged. Oh, y'all, that was so much fun.